Namaste. Hello everyone. Welcome to Shal Gulhati, Shiva and Mysticism for another episode of Monday with Mahadev. Last time I showed you an image of Shiva seated on a shivling with one leg in the air and one on the ground. And I told you that this symbolism means that the leg which is in the air is showing that he is transcendent, and the leg which is planted on the ground shows that he is grounded to reality. So, collectively, this sort of mudra, this position means that he is both the master of the transcendent and the mundane world, the spiritual life and the day to day life. And seated on the shivling, I said this is possible, being the master of the transcendent world and the mundane world. It is possible because he's seated firmly in his own principles of Shaivism. This time, I'm sharing with you another image which is similar but slightly different. We see Shiva again with one leg in the air and one on the ground, and under the leg on the ground is the image of a dwarf. And Shiva is also holding the Rudravina, the Damaru, and some scriptures in his hand. Unlike the picture I showed you last time, which was probably an artist's fantasy, his imagination, this one is a very popular image, and it is called Shiva Dakshinmurti. Shiva Dakshinmurti is honored as the first Guru, the Adi Guru, the one who taught the Sapta Rishis, the great seven Rishis in each yuga, and therefore through them he taught the entire world about how to mingle the spiritual world with the world that we live in. And this picture has some leanings on the Nataraja image of Shiva. In the Nataraja, we also see under his leg a dwarf who's almost being trampled. And though this does not seem to be an act of compassion at all, it has a symbolic meaning. And the meaning is that the dwarf is an individual ego. Before we are born, we are all universal. We are one with the origin, with the Shiv Tattva, with the great energy, with Chaitanyam Atma, which manifests us all. But after we are born, we become individualized. Our ego helps us to live in this day-to-day world. I have a name, Shal, I have a job, I am a cook, I wear some clothes to save myself from the vagaries of nature, and so on. But sometimes we get so involved with this role play that we forget that actually it is a cosmic drama. Therefore, Shiva, the Guru, tries to destroy that individual ego and put it back to the universal. And in the Nataraja, while with one foot he's trampling this dwarf of ignorance, of individual ego, on the other hand, with one of his hands, he's pointing at that leg which is in the air, the leg which stands for transcendence. So in the Nataraja, Shiva conveys that your individual ego is destined to get crushed because this role play is transient. Whether you are Shal or Suresh or Rakesh or John or Harry, and you're doing your job well, it is good to do your job well. Because it is a transient life, it is bound to get trampled under the wails of time, under the ravages of time. It's just natural. So the way out, the way to so-called immortality, is to know your own transcendence, is to attain self-realization, Atma Vyapti, to know that you are one with Shiva as Shiv Tattva. Now, this is called Dakshinmurti because he is the first Guru. And Dakshin means south. And it is that he is seated facing the south, therefore he's seated in the north. And all of the south is looking at him as rishis or as seekers and sages, learning from him. So this, sort of somebody being in the north and looking at all of the south sort of denotes that he is teaching the entire world. And also, one of the meanings is Dakshinamurti, one who taught without taking a fee. You see, in Shiva's time, there was no need to sort of give a fee to the Guru. The only need was to imbibe what he says and to live by it, because there was so much of abundance in nature that one of the teachings, a part of the teaching was to be able to live harmoniously and share what nature has. So there was not really a question of currency and buying this and giving that. So this is the image in which Shiva is honored as the primal teacher. And we see that he has an instrument, the Rudra Veena. So that suggests that he sings out his teachings. His revelations are in verses. And this is something very mystic. We see in most sacred texts, most of the verses are in a poetic form, as though they have been sung out of pure delight, out of pure knowing, out of pure honesty. And we see that he has a damaru, the little drum, which is always shaped like an hourglass, and he is the cosmic timekeeper. And he is the one with whom this cosmic rhythm begins. So the damaru is like a pacemaker for all spiritual evolution. So this was the little story about Shiva Dakshinmurti. I hope you liked the story. Please join me again next Monday on the same channel for yet another story on Mahadev. Om Namah Shivaya.